I just spent the past week hiking through the Dolomites and exploring Austria with only this tiny little camera in my pocket. And in 2025, it still blew me away. This is the Ricoh GR3, and today we're going to talk about why I still think it's completely worth it in 2025, even with the upcoming GR4. Okay, just a quick background on the GR3. This was released back in 2019, so it's a pretty old camera compared to what we have today. And funny enough, the community behind it is so strong, and they've been asking for an update forever now. And finally, a GR4 is coming out. It's been announced, and that will be coming later this year in December, I think. So with that news, it begs the question, okay, is the GR3 obsolete now? I had that thought for a while because I'm a tech guy and I do love the latest and greatest, but I've been on some trips this year, and this is the first camera I take with me for these journeys because what I'm prioritizing for these trips is just to capture the moment without any obstacle in my way, whether that's weights or size. So instead of bringing my professional setup like my Sony a7 IV, I'm taking this little guy because it's just so compact, light, cute, and it takes amazing photos. Literally last week I was exploring through Austria and was able to hike the Dolomites, which was such a blessing. And while I was packing for this trip, I had the thought of what camera do I bring? You know, like the Dolomites is a kind of a once in a lifetime opportunity, depending on your schedule. And I was like, oh, I should bring my really good camera setup, my a7 IV with maybe a 24-70 or a 70-200 to get those telephoto shots. But then I just knew, like, hiking up those hills, those mountains, it would just be a burden on me and just not make me enjoy the time out there. So I opted for the Ricoh GR3, and it did not disappoint. Actually, if you look right here, this is a photo taken by the GR3 of the Dolomites. We're gonna be posting a lot of Dolomite pictures in this video. Now, for new viewers out there, I did make a GR3 review video last year, and I guess you guys really like that, so that's why I'm making an updated one for 2025. So basically, I just want to talk about the camera, talk about why I like using it, talk about some of the pros, and obviously some of the cons, and what actual user experience was when you take it out on a trip that you're really excited to do on your travel trips or whatever else you have planned. This is the GR3 Street Edition. It's a different color body, and it's got this cool orange ring on it. Now, it does have an APS-C sensor. An APS-C sensor is a really good quality sensor. You think full frame cameras like a Sony a7 IV, that's a full frame sensor. More on the professional side, whatever. Then you go down to the Sony a6700, that's an APS-C sensor. Think full frame is, you know, your normal tried and true. A step right below that is the APS-C, and that's still such an amazing image quality. More than enough for social media, which is honestly probably the main reason we're all getting these. I'm posting all these pics to my Instagram, and people are raving about it, asking, well, what camera is this? What filter do you have on that? Is that a preset? The Instagram community definitely loves the images from this, and I think that's another reason why I love it so much, because I like seeing the reactions of what other viewers are thinking of it. Along with the image quality, there's these baked-in presets or color profiles or Ricoh recipes that are in the camera that gives it a stylized look, and you can just take a photo to whatever preset you like, and the image will come baked with that color profile. So if you're like me, who really only shoots in JPEG and doesn't want to edit these raw files, this is perfect. I know some photographers out there screaming like, wait, you only shoot in JPEG, you don't shoot in RAW? Yeah, because the whole point of me and this camera, at least for my personal use, is to take the picture, take the moment, and that's it. I don't want to go back in. I don't want to throw it on my computer and edit it, and to me, that's work. I'll save that for my other cameras and my other jobs, but when it's just for fun, dial in the settings, get the white balance, choose the right profile. I'm usually using positive film. JPEGs are all in the memory card. I choose them in the smallest size file, which comes out to maybe 2 to 3, maybe 4 megabytes per image. They're all in the SD card, connected to my phone. Save them there, done. Such a quick process. And if you don't have an adapter to connect the SD card to your phone, then there's also a Ricoh app that I think is pretty easy to transfer everything over. I personally just like a hardwired connection, and you could just save it like instantly. And even if you take a lot of photos, like 100 photos for the day, with the new iPhones using USB-C, you get a USB-C to SD card adapter. Those files will transfer immediately. Okay, so let's talk about the portability of this camera. As we all know by now, it's very small. This, for reference, is an iPhone 16 Pro, and that is the Ricoh next to it. And yeah, smaller than the 16 Pro, but this fits in your pocket. It fits in any pocket very easily. And if you don't want to put in your pocket, you can add these Peak Design 9 anchor straps and get one of these thinner leashes. That's what they're called. And you just strap it around your neck. So on my trip, I was wearing the Peak Design 45-liter outdoor bag. And on the front pouches, they have these mesh pockets. They're meant for your phone or whatever you want quick access to, but it fit the Ricoh perfectly. So it was great just to hike around. Whenever I saw the shot, I could pull it out of the pocket when I was done with it, put it back in the pocket. So rounding up the pros, very lightweight, easy to use, great image quality straight out of camera, multiple file transfer options, highly portable, and it fits in your pocket. So many good things about it. What are the bad things? First con I will talk about is obviously the battery life is not going to be good on these cameras because with it being such a small body, the battery has to compensate. So it's a small battery. I did notice on my hikes that it would get hot after a while, battery would drain, and I'd have to be very conscious of when I have the camera on. So basically what it looks like for me was we're hiking, I see a cool shot, pull it out, turn it on, take the photo, done, turn it off, put it back in. You just have to be more conscious with it. You can't just turn it on, take a photo, leave it on, and keep hiking around because it will drain the battery, especially on a hot summer day. While we're in the battery area, one thing I don't understand is the 1/4-inch screw down here is literally next to the battery door. So if you were to put a tripod plate or an Arca Swiss plate like I wanted to do, then you can't open the battery door at all. You would have to unscrew that plate to access the battery. Now, if you're someone who's only running off one battery, it's not going to matter, but you're going to want to run off multiple batteries if you're using this camera all day. Ricoh, I don't know if you changed that in the GR4, but please change that in the future because that just does not make sense. Video is not this camera's strong suit, and I honestly never use the video feature. I don't think there's any IBIS in it. Image quality is nothing to rave home about. I don't know what it does. Like, does it do 4K 30? No idea. I know it at least does 1080. It's going to drain the battery like crazy, so not even worth it. So you don't get this camera for video. Like, just don't. Next is the screen. While it's a very responsive screen, like one of the most responsive camera touchscreens that I've ever used, like way faster than my Sonys, faster than my friend's Canons. It's really odd how fast it is and responsive it is. I do wish it had some type of flip out mechanism, whether it was a tilting screen or flipping screen. Probably flipping because I do a lot of vertical shooting and it'd be very useful to flip it down and just see what I'm shooting, especially for street photography. I don't think the GR4 has that either, so maybe in the GR5. I do wish it had a viewfinder. I am a sucker for a viewfinder. I know it's a small body, but I think the old Sony RX, they had like a pop out viewfinder, which is so cool, and I don't see why you couldn't do that here. It's gonna take some engineering, I get it, but I think you guys can do it. It would be really cool if it had a pop out flash as well, because that flash retro film look is definitely the style right now. It would just really complete the camera, and I think it would appeal to more users as well, whether you're that Instagram influencer that likes that direct flash look. I did find a great alternative for that. It's this Godox flash. I'll link it down below. It fits very well in the camera. I went through a few flashes before I found the right one, and this one's perfect. Yeah, it just fits on the hot shoe. You can dial in the settings. It's small, sleek, compact, and it gives you a pretty cool look. Another con is the grip. So I actually have some relatively small hands, so I imagine it being much more uncomfortable for someone with larger hands to hold this thing. You can't really get the best grip on it. I always lean towards a wrist strap or neck strap. I don't know what they could really do here without sacrificing the portability. I love the size, but just be careful of that grip. You don't want to drop it. Sometimes I find myself holding it by these anchor straps, which is not the safest thing because they're kind of slippery. Another con to watch out for is this leaf shutter. It is prone to getting dust in the sensor because the thing itself is like very easily able to be opened. I did find a really nice metal lens cap for it. It solves this issue perfectly, but it's just so annoying to take it off, turn on the camera, put it back on every single time. So I've actually stopped using that lens cap. And sometimes the lens cap would take off this orange ring, which was annoying. Oh, also for any outdoor users out there, there is no weather sealing on this camera. So if you're in the middle of a hike and it starts raining, I would put it away. But you know what? With all of those cons that I've mentioned, I still never wished that I had brought my bigger camera. Like, this was still the perfect tool for this job. It just made the experience so much more enjoyable and memorable because I was able to capture a bunch of awesome memories with it that I can look back to, that I can share with my friends. So on this trip, I was going with my friend, and then she introduced me to her friends. And when I shared them the photos, they were like, "What? These are amazing." And I didn't edit them. I didn't do anything. I took the photo. That's it. Obviously, I dialed in the settings, figured out the shutter, the aperture, the ISO, the color, the white balance. But they were just so astounded by the quality of the photos. Every time I hear that, I'm just like, man, this thing is really good for what it is. Is it expensive? It costs around $1,000. So you decide if that's a lot or not a lot. When you compare it to the competitors like the Fuji X100 Mark VI, that's like, I don't know, $1,700, $1,800 with the whole inflation. The new Sony camera that just got announced, they're trying to do $5,000 or $6,000 for that, which is insane. If your goal is to have a higher quality image than your iPhone and you want it to be compact and easy and sleek, then this is a no-brainer. I would recommend the Ricoh GR3 all day, every day. And you know what's interesting is that there's actually two versions of this. There's the GR3 and the GR3X. GR3 is shooting at a equivalent of a 28mm focal length, while the GR3X is a 40mm focal length. For those of you who don't know, basically think 28 is wider, 40 is going to be a little tighter. So 28 is great for street photography, landscapes, travel, capturing more of the scene, where 40mm is a little bit tighter, really good for portraits, good for just those tighter detail shots. Great to have both. When the GR4 was announced, I was thinking to myself, should I sell the GR3 and get the new GR4? Now, after this trip, I was like, no, like, why would I do that? Because this camera just works. It does exactly what I need. Sure, there's some gripes, but no reason to get rid of this to get the 4. However, if Ricoh comes out with a GR4X, I'm sold. There are some times where I wish, 28's a little too wide. I kind of want a tighter portrait here, a little tighter detail shot. Sometimes I find myself wanting that focal length. So if Ricoh comes out with a GR4X that is either a 40mm or a 50mm, but keeping this tiny body, I'm sold. You guys got my money. I will buy that immediately. So with all of that being said, overall, I think the GR3 is amazing in 2025. It's still perfectly usable, and you will not be disappointed if you pick up this camera. Should you wait for the GR4 if you don't have this camera yet? Well, just depends. If you've been holding out all this time and you want that brand new camera, the latest and greatest, then yeah, wait a few more months and get the GR4. You will not be disappointed. But if you already have a GR3, there is no reason to also get the GR4. The upgrades are minimal, and it just doesn't make sense to have both of those. If you're gonna sell one to get the other, great. But with the GR4 coming out, some people will probably sell their old GR3. You can probably get a really good price on it. Anything under $1,000 for this camera is great. There's plenty of accessories already out on the market for it. So I would personally just stick with this one. So with that, thanks for watching. Let me know in the comments below what you think of the Ricoh GR3. Do you have it? Do you want it? Do you think it's still worth it in 2025? And thank you for watching. I will see you in the next one. Peace.